Hey everybody, welcome to the On Deck podcast presented by LineStar. I'm Shannon Sommerville. This is Tyler Wiemann. We're about to break down some of your daily fantasy baseball projections. We'll also get to some prop bets and home run calls. But kind of a mess today for all those Northeast games. We've already had a few postponements. So definitely you want to check the weather before you play any of those games. But before we get to all that, today we've had a couple fun days. So it was May the 4th be with you. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. Hope you had a nice margarita in honor of Cinco de Mayo. And then today I was like, I wonder if today is anything fun. So this is what I found out. It's National Nurses Day. Definitely need to celebrate our nurses after the past few years we've had.
Appreciate your work.
It is also National Space Day.
Okay.
And, George Clooney's birthday. Do you have a favorite George Clooney film? You an Ocean's 11 guy
Probably
or no?
Ocean's 11.
Oh, yeah. It's a good film.
It was a good one.
Happy birthday, George. Yeah. Celebrate you on the On Deck podcast as well. So, a lot of fun today. Maybe not a Cinco de Mayo fun day, but we'll have a fun day today. We're talking about some pitchers, and we've got a lot of great aces on the hill today. So, for our chalk report, now, this might get switched around. Make sure you double check that weather report. We'll go over the weather again at the end of the show. But the first guy we're going to talk about is Guardians righty Shane Bieber going up against the Blue Jays. Is it a Bieber fever day? Everyone's in on Biebs. 42% owned on DraftKings and 40% owned on FanDuel. Of course, last outing gave up 1 earned run, 7 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts. Granted, that was a bomb, but hey, 7 strikeouts. I'll take that.
Yeah,
What do you got for him today?
It's Bieber. He's also way too cheap on DraftKings at 8,700. He's a great pitcher, has good strikeout stuff. Toronto's a good offense. We've gone over 100 different times. So, good pitching usually beats good hitting. So I don't think anybody should be scared of going to Bieber. Just keep in mind that he is high owned.
All right. Padres righty Yu Darvish going up against the Marlins today. He's about 38% owned, 26% owned on FanDuel. Got a 4.44 ERA this season. Now, he's been really solid this year aside maybe from that one bad outing he had, but he's been solid.
Yeah, his first couple outings were kind of weird, and then he got it together. Last outing was a little shaky, but still okay. But he's shown signs that he's coming back into form, and that's really the more important thing. He's had a mid-3s FIP. Hit the combined K rate today is like 23%. The one thing, as we discussed yesterday, is Miami does hit righties well, so it can kind of go either way with that one. I wouldn't.
But they do strike out a lot. I think they're top 10 in strikeouts, so there is some upside there.
Absolutely, and Darvish, if he's on his stuff, he's one of the best pitchers in the game.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some lower-owned pitchers that maybe you can find some value with. We're looking first at Blue Jays righty Kevin Gausman going up against the Guardians. He's about 21% owned on DraftKings and just 5% owned in FanDuel. 2.27 ERA for him. Last game gave up 2 earned runs, racked up 10 strikeouts in 7 against the Astros. Now, the only thing here, though, is Guardians are pretty good. So what do you like about his matchup today?
The Guardians have been the best in average, best in WRC plus versus righties. So they've absolutely been good. And then Gausman's been amazing. And the one thing, though, is that he's gone against Houston, Boston twice. He's gone against the Yankees. And he still has these incredible numbers.
Yeah.
0.56 FIP through the start of the season. Like you said, 2.27 ERA. The combined K rate today is 26%. The implied total is only 2.9. There's a lot to like here.
You can't not like him. He's so solid this year.
Totally.
He's such a great pitcher.
And, him and
I'm
Bieber.
surprised he's not a little bit more owned, but I do understand the opponent.
Yeah, I think it's more so that Bieber is so cheap.
I see.
So Gausman's just a little more expensive, but he's been better than Bieber so far this season.
Yeah. It's crazy what an awesome year he's having. Another guy who's having an awesome year is the righty Merrill Kelly going up against the Rockies. Good thing this one is at Chase Field for Kelly's sake. Second best ERA in baseball at 1.27. Last time out, 7-inning, 2-hit shutout performance against the Cardinals. Now, he's not a super high strikeout guy per se, but just has been incredible this season.
Totally. He's been amazing. And Colorado offense away from Colorado isn't the same, but they're
Correct.
also 19th versus righties in WRC plus. So they're not a scary offense versus righties to begin with.
Yeah, take them out of course, they get a lot less scary.
Totally. And the combined K rate still is 23%, so there is some upside there. I like it, and he's going like 5% owned. He's going to be super unowned, and there could be some leverage there. So I like it.
So among the pitchers for today, there is the question of some weather and stuff.
Yes.
Is there any particular play that you like the best out of the guys that we mentioned? Any of them stick out to you?
Taking all things into consideration, I like Gausman. There is the weather issue.
Sure.
If that game's canceled, we're going to have all sorts of problems because most of the ownership right now is going to Gausman and Bieber and Darvish. But I would say probably what happens is that Logan Gilbert shoots up with ownership and he becomes one of the higher owned guys.
In other words, be sure to check LineStarApp.com and download the LineStar app for the most up-to-date updates on everything with your daily fantasy. Now let's move into some stacking options for you. And today our highest owned stack is going to be Boston going up against White Sox righty Vince Velasquez, who's got a 4.58 ERA this season. He's actually coming off one of his more decent outings where he held the Angels scoreless through 5 2/3. However, he's really struggled the rest of the season. Righty bats are just teeing off on him. What do you see from that matchup? And is this a good play for everyone that's buying in on it?
I agree that it's a good play. Velasquez versus Boston has given up a 333 average and 7 home runs and 59 plate attempts with a 510 ISO. So they've hit him hard in the past. Velasquez hasn't been that great. 6 FIP to start the year. The one thing is that Boston has been below league average versus righties, so they haven't been quite as good. And then the Chicago White Sox bullpen is a top 10 bullpen, so that's another thing that could give you a little cause of concern. But I'm not really shying away. And
another thing to take note of, though, is the weather in this game. It should be okay from what we've read so far of the weather reports, but always make sure to double check that type of stuff. Next up, Angels going up against Nationals righty Yoan Adon. Adon has a 7.33 ERA this year. Not great. And Washington Nationals pitching staff has the second highest ERA in baseball. I didn't realize that, behind only the Reds. Top 10 in home runs allowed. So you can kind of see why everyone's kind of in on the Angels today.
Absolutely. And Adon hasn't been in the majors long, but I looked up his minor league stats, and he has a 4.3 ERA as a career in the minors. So he wasn't good in the minors. He hasn't shown that he's good in the major leagues. So it makes total sense that people want to go to the Angels, and lefties have absolutely crushed Adon. Yeah. So maybe your boy Shohei or Walsh.
Yes, that's a little tease for our home run calls. But yeah, so definitely some solid plays. You can see why those two squads are pretty high owned.
Absolutely.
Boston and the Angels.
We should also probably make a note that today, like, pretty much all of the implied run totals are pretty low. Okay. 8.5 is like the highest game total, and there's only 1 or 2 games that are that high. Okay. So it's very well could be a low scoring day today.
All right. Well, how about some value plays here? We'll take a look at some lower owned stacks that we're liking. Seattle going up against Tampa Bay righty Matt Whistler. And Whistler's been solid, but again, this is one of those situations for the Rays where they're getting crafty with an opener. Yeah.
Whistler, like you said, he's been solid, but it's more so let's pick on Fleming, who's expected to come in for Whistler, who has a 6.3 ERA. He's allowing 13 hits for 9 innings. So there's just been a lot of contact with him. Seattle's a top 10 offense against lefties, which Fleming is a lefty. And, I just kind of want to pick on that as a little pivot off the high-owned plays.
Another play here is the Astros going up against Detroit Tigers rookie righty Bo Brieski. And he actually hasn't been bad. Briesky's been pretty good. He had to go up against the Dodgers in his second outing. Like, welcome to the big leagues. You have to face the hottest team in baseball. Gave up just 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched. Going up against the Astros, whose offense hasn't been great this season, but we know several of the bats in that lineup are very capable of taking him deep. So what do you see from the Astros today?
The Astros have totally been heating up. Altuve is back. That's helping them a lot. Briesky has a 7 FIP, though. His ERA has been low, and he's allowing 2.7 home runs per 9.
Okay.
So he's got hit hard. He is a righty, but righties have actually fared better versus him with a 350 ISO and hitting a home run off him about 9% of plate attempts.
All right. So maybe just pick on the rookie.
Yep.
He's going to have one of those games, you know, the rookie games where you're just like,
I mean, with the 7 FIP, there's obviously some stuff going on that ERA is going to come up.
The other game that you're looking at is Nationals against the Angels, and there was some question marks about who's going to be the starter for the Angels. So what gives you some confidence in Nationals?
I am thinking that this is going to be a bullpen game.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really what I'm going off. The Angels have been one of the worst bullpens in the league. So, 1, Nationals aren't that expensive. 2, if it's a bullpen game, you know, you really never know what you can get, but it's usually some runs.
Right. All right, let's take a look. Detroit, Baltimore, and Milwaukee, or some others for you. What intrigues you about any of those plays?
Yeah, Garcia, the pitcher for Houston, has given up quite a few home runs. Milwaukee's really hot, so I kind of like riding the hot bat there, and same with Baltimore. They all have decent matchups.
It is kind of a crazy day, though. Just I think the weather, there's just a lot kind of going on. We don't know who some pitchers are, so there's a lot of variables for today that definitely have to keep an eye on, right? I feel like today's kind of a
weird day.
Friday kind of day.
Today is the day that you really need to pay attention to what's going on in like the last, 20, 30 minutes before the slate starts.
So double check. Yeah. Lock it in, guys.
Lock it in.
Now it's time for our home run calls. Yesterday, Ryan crushed his pick.
Yep.
So we've been doing well on our home run picks. Where are you headed today for your home run call?
I'm going to pick on Velasquez, and I'm going with Boston Rafael Devers. So quite simply, Velasquez has given up 7 home runs and 59 plate attempts to Boston. Devers has a home run off him. He's hitting 750 ISO versus him. And versus righties, Devers has a 314 ISO. So he hits righties hard. Velasquez gives up hard contact. We don't have to get too crazy.
Yeah, big on the Red Sox today.
Yep.
I'm going Shohei Ohtani. I think he goes yard today against Nationals' Yoan Adon. We kind of talked about how Adon hasn't been great this year. 7.33 ERA. 3 of the 4 home runs he's given up this year also have come against lefty bats. We know Shohei Ohtani will crush him. He actually is giving up a .311 batting average to lefties, and Ohtani has a higher slugging percentage against righties, actually, .405 there. So I think Ohtani will get to don that Angels rally cowboy hat. Come on, yeehaw.
I like it.
Ohtani, let's go. National Space Day sends it into orbit. That's my little Space Day joke. I didn't know it was Space Day, but send it into orbit. It's
also going against the Nationals.
Right.
Nationals.
It's all coming together for us on the On Deck podcast. All right, let's take a look at our prop bets for today. Man, the cold streak is real for me, but for you, you're riding a hot streak. What do you got for today?
We're going pitching again.
Let's go.
We're just going to keep hammering away at pitchers. So we're going Kevin Gausman over 6.5 Ks. It's plus 115. He has a 33.6% K rate. He's hit over 6.5 in 4 of 5 starts. The one that he didn't was the first start where he only had 80 pitches, and he has also done it his last 3 starts versus Cleveland. So we're going Kevin Gausman.
Just gonna stick with the pitching. Can't get out of that.
Keep going there until it's dead.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick with my hitters prop. I'm going Xander Bogaerts over 1.5 bases. That's at plus 100. Now, he's 354 on the year. That's the 6th highest average in baseball. And it actually goes up to 360 against right-handed pitching. And when you look at White Sox righty Vince Velasquez, he's giving up a 394 average to right-handed bats. Also worth noting that Bogaerts, one of his friends, told a New York Post reporter that he is interested in leaving Boston, which as a Yankees fan, I have the utmost respect for that decision. So we're going Bogaerts over 1.5 bases.
I cannot wait to get you to wear a Red Sox hat this season.
That is blasphemy. It will not happen. I will not debase myself on this show for clicks.
You better win every bet we make, man.
Well, you better be careful because I will have you doing TikTok dances for your losses. So
yes,
we have to
that's
come
true.
up with some bets coming up soon.
We do. We need a couple.
So just want to recap some of the weather before we get out of here because there is some things to keep an eye on. Of course, there's been 3 games already postponed. We've got Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Keep an eye on that one. That's scattered showers and thunderstorms all day, probably a late start or postponement. Kansas City at Baltimore will be dry to start, but light rain moves in later in the night. It could be a chance of they get nothing, but it could start to pour right in the middle of the game. It's just got to keep an eye on that. And then Toronto at Cleveland, right now, scattered light showers, just really messy baseball weather, cold temperatures, winds over 15 mile an hour. Could be good for our pitchers, though. And the rest of the games, we're looking at Boston should be north of the rain. That's impacting that New York and Philadelphia game. When you look at Atlanta, Milwaukee at Atlanta, that's some light spotty showers. Nothing that should impact the game. Winds are out to left at 15 to 20 miles an hour, so it could be good for hitters there. You know what else is this weekend, Tyler? We've got the Kentucky Derby.
You gonna have a mint julep?
Mint julep. We should have had some ready to go.
I know.
It's Friday after all.
Friday, and
Casual
it's 5
Friday,
o'clock
got the
somewhere.
jean jacket. Could have done with a mint julep to cheers the end of the week.
I'm ready for a drink.
All right, let's do it. Well, first, a question to
Yes.
our viewers and listeners and ourselves. If you owned a racehorse, what would you name it?
It's a tough one.
I'll tell you mine. And
Okay.
well, there's, I think when you think about a horse race name, you just really have to go with what you're passionate about. And for me, there's nothing I'm more passionate about than my Georgia Bulldogs. So I think I would go with something like, what do we think about? Dogs Over Tide. Dogs Over Tide in the lead.
That's what if
Sounds great,
What
right?
if Dogs Over Tide is last?
Or Kirby's Revenge coming around the bend.
All right. I'm gonna go a different route, and
Okay.
I'm gonna just go with my horses being named Pay the Bills.
Hey, the Bills
Yeah.
is coming around the bend.
Exactly. So once he comes in first, he's paying my bills and everybody else that bet on him.
Speaking of paying bills, we've got a free $50 bet for you. Speaking of the Kentucky Derby, if you want that free $50 bet for the Kentucky Derby, download the Betfully app, and there's actually a video on our YouTube channel that goes through literally step by step how to just sign up. You get $50 free bet. Who doesn't love free money? So be sure to watch that video and sign up for that as well. You'll also get 1 free month of TrackWiz, which is the daily fantasy LineStar equivalent of horse racing. So all the advanced analytics for horse racing app, you can get that free, and you can impress all your friends and with all the horse racing knowledge.
You can have
You
all
gotta
the
show
horse
up
racing
people
knowledge
at the,
in your hand.
whatever party you're at, sound really smart, even if it's just that. Or, it'll win you some money probably.
Yes,
The odds
absolutely.
are, the stats on that are awesome. My dad's already been texting me like, can you help me with my bets? Because we've got,
Yep.
you got all the stats. So, but moving forward, if anyone wants to buy into this horse with me, Kirby's Revenge,
You're going to Kirby's Revenge?
I think that has a better ring to it because you
All
really
right,
have to
I
think
like
about when the announcer is just announcing the
it's
race.
true.
But all right, that was a great week. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe. Follow us at LineStar. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.
one.